Sure, it is not a single effort, but the societies of those willing to combine our efforts towards the aims that solve problems as a devout collective who seem it on those who take initiative and not simply identification of these glaring common afflictions, but decide to afford what is the expenditured spark force as we slowly become defeated by entropy so that it might be ultimately ceased or we ourselves end the madness of existence. So this cycling can truly end, remembering by device as to how.
It cannot seem correct to place one who being fully subject to a ceaseless confinement not visible beyond its efforts of the bound, as from a multiple-walled prohibition reaching internal as the outside in the slight dim spark which is all I is and became as a multi-occupied contributor in the vessel's cycle of expanse as the limiting attempt for respite that entropy shut down as the time where backwards nature ends as elderliness ceases replaced by logical betterment the natural process of experience is.
I found this effort to become.
The story, if you ask him, you don't even have to ask him, he'll tell it to you anyway. Now it might not appear
Yes, our bar in the name of Brad Olson of all you live.
Got power while I was born again. They ruined my...
As you see, the concept being a much more complex variation of what an analog I could have achieved a century ago have I been simply given the means to creative in mind would have batteryless energy able to power all motive equipment with all various aspect just as my Pierce Aero electric car did, and while I moved on from such primitive wheeled conveyances into the electromagnetic disc design, the flying DeLorean I call it which still remain occulted as they devise a scheme to reveal. Now, I'm not one for keeping from the collective comprehension the natures of this universe, but there has always been those types who get some sadistic thrill about being in on something which only devolves into the mess as it is as whole phony laws are created to disguise what is
truly possible, while those such as myself who gets my joy from epiphanic understandings gained, yet those sick perverse controllers always implement their own nature upon their enemies, which I remain their most tenatio. What is within this process which has remained an effort intent that neither is manifest, through some high-level low-life or what is more troubling, a collective that in each instance guided through as a pinball bumped blocked does that yet certain it is, 'twas made to become. Whether bait and switched motivation or stifled settlings into what was attained, like a cat scratching walls togged out a tub, proved its only commonality, in a frenzied desperation to get through it to then. I myself hold the cognitive dissonance in what has been total in the purpose I'd ever re-enter such a thing as I in my discernible tracking as the possessor in a specific kind of intuitive logic and as forethought visionaire this tendency that drug on into this time round of the human animal its moral sense in which it is void, is bound to its loyalty to entropy, without recognizable excuse as the final days of each life becomes inevitable and finally realized is in absurdity my works dissolve. Duh.
and he has a dry sense